What's going on, people? Guns Blazing back at it again, and today we'll talk a little bit about Master Duel's first new card release and other things like certain updates or features that Master Duel is really missing. This is the first release in 2 months. Is that a good release period for the game? So I'm gonna go over the new cards very briefly. My knowledge of future releases is very limited. I do watch some TCG replays here and there, but that's about it really. And Baron de Fleur is a card I see pop up from time to time in those replays that I do watch. And this is likely going to be the most impactful new card, as it has the strongest effects, yet it's the most generalizable. It's not dependent on any archetype, so pretty much any deck that can add up to Synchro out of level 10 can get this out. And essentially you'll get a nice little Omni Negate, plus the cherry on top is you destroy one on your turn, any card on the field. So off the top, like just from the decks I play, I could probably stick this into Adamantipator. That's an easy level 8 plus 2. Dragon Link, Dragon Maid, they can both run it. And then also this deck that I've been trying out, Wind Witches, which by the way, they can also run some of these other Synchro cards that were announced, like Crystal Clearwing. There's also High Speedroid Clearwing Rider. Actually for these, you need to stick in some level 3 tuners into this deck, which is not too hard because you can like stick some Speedroids into here. But as for these cards, they're not as generalizable as Baron or Baroness. They will really only be relevant to certain archetypes. They won't see much play outside of that, and I don't think they'll be making that much of an impact. Anyways, the rest of the revealed cards seem to be from archetypes that aren't really strong, like the Despia stuff, or in the case of Sword Soul, which is actually a good archetype. It's still missing a lot of cards to function along with it, and that will be in future releases, it seems. So there's your TLDR. Baron good, everything else meh, at least for now. Meta shift, probably minimal. Maybe like a surge in Adamantipator players, that's probably it. Who knows, there might be some more cards that weren't revealed yet but will be added as well. So we'll have to see, but apart from that, we probably won't see much change except for if there's a ban list. Anyways, I also want to talk a little bit about the release timing. It's been a little over 2 months since the release, and this is our first new card release. Which, if you're used to games with faster paced updates, then yeah, that's kind of on the slow side, but it's pretty much similar to the release period of the actual card game. Which in that sense, it's not bad. It makes it so that we can actually play and adapt, get comfortable in a certain metagame for a decent chunk of time. The power creep pay-to-way crybabies lose pretty much their only ammo, since new releases can easily be crafted as long as you were grinding and saving up enough gems. I don't think at that point you hold Konami responsible if you don't know how to save up a few thousand gems or crafting points. But anyways, it's a lot different from what we're used to if you were coming from, let's say, Duel Links, which had more frequent updates and events in between. I do think 2 months is a reasonable period between releases, or at least it would be if Master Duel had all its full features and functionality. It's currently missing a few things that would prevent this 2-month period from getting stale. Now the features I'm talking about is something that Konami has actually announced, or at least has heavily hinted towards. The game needs content after you hit Plat 1, whether it be in the form of a numbered ranking system or an in-game tournament system, both of which Master Duel currently does not have right now. Numbered ranking system, admittedly, Konami hasn't actually said anything about this or hinted towards it, but they have said something about having tournaments in the game itself and running them officially. But yeah, that's probably the biggest knock I have on this otherwise solid game, is the lack of content after you hit Plat 1. That's pretty much the cycle right now. After you hit Plat 1, there's not much to do. You try out a bunch of decks at Plat 1, but with the same wall as Duel Links, where I can't further challenge myself in terms of competitiveness. Now, I've already discussed this in other videos, so I won't go over it too much, but almost every modern competitive game, including card games, have a system in place where you can see your rank in comparison to other players when you have reached the highest rank of the game. This makes it so that even if there's no new content for weeks or months, you can at least have the luxury of grinding it out to see how far up on the ladder you can go, which would be way better than everyone stagnating at Platinum 1 and even regressing, because there's no further incentive to be competitive. And there's literally no punishment for losing because they even took out D-ranking at Plat 1. In-game tournaments within the client itself would also be a huge help. Even if it's something simple, like a casual tournament mode maybe that you could join at any time or at certain periods of time, for a small gem prize, even 8 to 16 players, side deck functionality, best of 3, that would already be some insane fun. Make it happen, Konami. We want to stop having to rely on third parties to get our tournament fix. We are basement dwellers with no desire to interact or go outside or even DM people. just so we can play tourney. Imagine if you could have tournament functionality in the comfort of your own home, in the game itself, no other hassles. And again, it's something, freaking sirens. It's something tangible in terms of competitiveness. Like all we have right now to show how competitive we are is we show off what win streak we have at Plat 1, which is like, it means nothing. If we win a tournament though in game, like that's something you can brag about. If you are in like the top 300, 100 of the top rank in the game, then that's something to brag about. That's something that you can actually grind for. Without that, like if all we have for that 2-month period is a Plat 1 ladder, then yeah, it gets stale. Another thing that people comment a lot about while we're on this topic is the lack of the casual mode in this game. Now personally, if they added casual mode, I would still probably play exclusively ranked, but I do understand that a lot of players really just want to be able to play a game with no pressure, or they just don't want to sweat, they want to play some fun decks. And it's very peculiar how Master Duel has no casual gameplay mode, when literally almost any competitive game that has ranked also has a normal or casual mode, including the predecessor, Duel Links. Now in Duel Links, it was admittedly filled with like suicide decks, bot decks just farming out gems, but I'm sure if Konami really tried, they could minimize that and bring casual mode to this game regardless. Other than that, there's no real reason to not include casual. It's probably even better for the player base. Another update the players are yearning for is some ban list updates, some ban list justice. It is a different challenge for Konami as they have players both from TCG and OCG areas, as it is a global game. Right now it seems more favored to one format, but who knows if they'll make it more balanced in the future. Now from what I've seen, some of the top decks we see on Master Duel have already been hit, including Drytron, Tri-Brigade, Bird Up variants included, etc. A lot of people are calling for nerfs to these decks, and I do agree. Like even if it's a light nerf, for example, limiting Ben 10 and Drytron would reasonably bring it down. The problem with the current meta, as some people have pointed out, is that the top decks are sitting way too highly above everything else below them. Like, of course, every game is going to gravitate towards, there's some decks that are just going to be at the top. But these decks are at the top and then some. So even a small slap on the wrist on the top decks would make the power a lot less top heavy and allow some of the lower tier decks to see some more play, and hence more variety and less staleness while we wait for the next update. Now, I'm not really going to go over every problematic card I can think of. People have very differing opinions on what should and shouldn't be banned. They have different tolerance levels on what is considered OP. I do agree though that they should hit the DD burn deck infesting the game right now. It's weird because it's not really OP, since you can counter it by reducing the extra deck, and they pretty much can't do anything whenever they have to go second, but it is still very toxic as it forces people to run less in the extra deck or risk losing to it. But for now, you can enjoy a lot of free scoops from them whenever they go second or whenever you don't have 15 in the extra. Now with all this being said, what are some updates you'd like to see in Master Duel, whether it be ban list wise or anything gameplay or game mode related? Do you agree that Master Duel needs more features or modes, or do you think it's fine just the way it is? Leave in the comments, who knows, the lurking Konami analysts might take a little peek. Have yourselves a good one, and this is Guns Blazing, signing out.